A few weeks ago, I received a text from one of my favorite clients. He was looking for a creative wedding gift to give to some of his close friends from college. The project was intended to be a centerpiece for a dining table, and like all of his previous project ideas, he wanted it to have a personal connection. In this case, he requested that the project be related to the school that he and his friends attended. I recently acquired a CNC in the woodshop and immediately thought of a Dartmouth serving tray. After running through the details, we agreed upon a final design of a Dartmouth lone pine tree inlaid into a white oak serving board. If you've seen some of my previous work, you'll know that I'm a massive fan of walnut. When I first googled Dartmouth lone pine tree, I found that all the logos were in green. However, I didn't want to make a serving tray with a green logo on it. I simply didn't find the idea of a green colored serving board to be very appealing. So my next thought was, of course, to use walnut. I find that walnut paired with a lighter wood such as maple or white oak in this project is an absolutely unbeatable combo in woodworking.
The shop is absolutely filthy right now. I'm in the process of making a pen video, going back and doing it from when I used to make pens. And so I gotta move the planer around. It's filthy in here.
This piece of white oak was just a hair too wide for my 6-inch joiner, so before I could get a flat face, I needed to trim about a ½ inch off on my bandsaw.
That's gonna work. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different here, something that most people say not to do, and that is I'm going to, instead of jointing just one face, I am also going to joint the other side. Now on a normal board you would never want to do that because the joiner doesn't keep the two sides parallel. That's why we have a planer. It takes one side and parallels the other. But I'm going to be resawing this straight in half and folding these two out and then planing each board. So joining the other side won't really matter. I just need two flat faces for when I take it to the planer later on. So let's go ahead and do that. All I need for this project is 13.5 inches, and right here we're 14. However, that's a little too close for my liking. I want it to be a little bit over that. So just for precaution, I'm gonna go ahead and add another piece of white oak here. Give it an extra couple inches. Better to have extra wood than to have little. You can't really add, so. So here's a great example of why I always check whether the boards are flat. So I'm laying them out with my check mark side, the side I jointed that's flat, on the table saw, which is a dead flat surface, before I put them in the planer. And you know, like the main big board, he's all good. The smaller guy just did perfectly fine. However, the board that I resawed in half, and this does happen, I placed the flat face on the table saw here, and it's crazy off. Now, you might be asking, why does that happen? When you resaw a board, sometimes, not always, there's tension in the wood. The tree has grown with tension inside its fibers, so when you resaw it, you've released the tension. It can happen on the table saw as well, but once you release that tension, the board can warp slightly, and it does it instantly. Unlike with moisture, where it does it over a slow period of time, if you resaw it, sometimes it can just straight up warp instantly. So I'm gonna have to take the two resawed boards back to the joiner for another pass before they can go into the planer and get them parallel. Perfect. Now we can go to the planer. Okay, quick time lapse, clean up before the glue up. Let's go. Alright, cue glue up time lapse. This is gonna take a while. Alright, all glued up. Come back tomorrow and we'll get going. So I've gone ahead and made the oak section of it where the walnut's going to inlay in on my CNC. And I'm just setting up, almost ready to run the program for the inverse, which will be the walnut section. So it's going to, instead of carving into the wood, it's going to carve around the tree and leave kind of like an extruded section of the tree. And then once that's done, I'm going to glue the two panels together, surface it down, and we'll be in business. We'll be looking good. it's done on the CNC, so I'm crossing my fingers. I'm going to take it to the bandsaw, cut the shape out, and then we're just going to see how it goes, see if it fits into the oak piece. If not, I have some ideas, but I think it will, so yeah, see how it goes. Okay, so I found an issue. When I put the walnut piece inside of the oak, there's a gap around all of this, too big of a gap. And I think it's because maybe I did something wrong, maybe the offset was wrong. But on this, you can see that there's like an extra flat top lip right there. I don't believe that's supposed to be coated in, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that with a surfacing bit and then bring it back over here, and it should fit in properly. All right, we have success. So we've got the extruded section and then the other side. I flip this over, and when it goes in, it fits in quite nicely. If I can get it to fit in with one hand, there we go. So no wiggle at all. A slight little gap, so I have some room so that I can clamp that down. Now it'll just be glue up time, and we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to turn out really, really cool. Well, that was quite the glue up. I was originally going to put 4 cauls, which are these like thinner pieces of plywood here across, and I thought that would be plenty enough. However, this is my first time doing like a advanced V-carve inlay, and I wanted to get as much tension as physically possible, and the cauls just weren't cutting it. So I got some really thick pieces of white oak, and those won't warp as much and won't give as much, which will give more pressure on there. So now all I can do is let it dry. We can mill the surface off, and then hopefully we're looking good. But there's nothing I can do now, so fast forward to then. Let's see how it looks. This first run on Advanced V-carve resulted in an awesome Dartmouth serving board. Here's a couple photos after adding the handles and a coat of food safe finish. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of my work, check out my website zmdwoodworks.com, linked in the video description.